Well, hello everyone. Welcome to our gentle class on Saturday. Ooh, I almost said it, morning, afternoon, whatever time this time is. Today we're going to be working on shoulders, or with our shoulders and our scapulas. Really, when I say that, we're really working the entire spine and the upper body, but with emphasis on posture and shoulder strength. Beyond that though, I woke up with this idea of, the idea of awaking or aliveness. In the winter, that's very hard for me to find in the mornings, and I think that probably the same for a lot of us. It takes maybe a few minutes or an hour maybe, or coffee, to kind of get us awake and present. So this morning we're going to try and see if we can cultivate some of that with our practice, which means exploring what does it mean to you to be awake in your life, to be alive in your life. Does it mean presence? Does it mean mantras? Does it mean that you're listening to your breath, that life force? I don't know what it means for you. I do know what it means to me, and I'll be speaking on them as we move, but I do invite you to remain curious about what is this feeling of aliveness feel like in your body? What does it look like when you're really in tune with your life? So that's what I've gotten for today, and we're going to actually start in a comfortable seat. So if you're already there, wonderful. If you have to take a moment to get there, please do. Otherwise, I do encourage you to begin to soften or close the eyes. And today we'll start by taking a deep breath into the belly, in through the nose, and then a long, audible exhale. Letting go of the week that we've had, of the year that we've had, and beginning to settle into this new moment right here, this eternal now. And as we begin to ground into our mats and into our practice, we might begin to notice different sounds we hear within our landscape. We might notice movement of our family or our pets. We might begin to notice the sound of rain, of cars driving on a wet road, the hum of our heaters, or the crackling of a fire if we have one going. Just beginning to pick up on all the sounds that are making up this experience in this moment right here. And as we begin to tune in with that world around us, we might also notice things that we feel. And that can be a physical feeling. We can notice textures, temperatures. We can notice the support and the sturdiness of our ground, of the home beneath us. Or maybe it's more of an emotional feeling, checking in with how our emotional body is doing today. And seeing if we can be honest. I think a lot of us for the past week have been, really probably playing with the idea of letting go of the old year and welcoming a newness in this year. So just recognizing any feelings that are maybe still present with us from the last year, the last week, maybe the last hour. Acknowledging that those are within you right now. And then giving yourself permission to maybe set those aside for now. And attempt to come into this place of peace, of presence. And as we begin to ground into our bodies, We might notice all the parts of us that connect with the ground, with our props. Aware of if we're shifting our weight to one side or the other, seeing if we can begin to bring a balance into our body and into our seat. And from this balanced space, we'll begin to allow our spine to lift and lengthen, creating a little bit of space and support between each vertebrae. Our shoulders, noticing if we're carrying them really close to our ears, seeing if we can begin to let them drop down. Letting our arms become heavy here. There's no need to carry any weight. I know we've all heard the saying, we carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. Well, oftentimes we carry not only our own emotional weight and our own life's weight, but the weight of others. Especially for those of us that are considered to be givers, right? Healers. And I know a lot of you love to give a lot of yourself to the people who need it and to the people you love. But seeing if we can bring a little balance into that today and maybe again set that weight aside and give yourself that presence for this next hour. And as we make our way towards the crown of our head, we might begin to just notice our thoughts this morning. Maybe they're relatively calm, or maybe we have a lot going on in our mind, and that's okay. Just taking time to bring our awareness into our mind. Maybe choosing to remind ourselves that even though we have thoughts, we are not our thoughts. And even though we have judgments, we are not those judgments. Even though we have expectation, we are not those expectations. We are the chooser, the witness, and the seer of those things. And each moment we have a choice. We can choose to hold on to these stories and ideas, or we can begin to choose to let them move through us. And as we do this, we begin to notice the flow of our breath moving in and out. As we breathe, noticing if there's any parts of our body that are really welcome to our breath, that feel like they're filling with air, that feel expansive and open. And also taking a moment to maybe feel parts of our body, maybe the low back or the mid back, that might feel a little resistant to our breath. Seeing if we can begin to bring fullness to all sides of our body as we breathe. As we exhale, we're forcing that breath out. We're pushing it out with a little bit of our core strength, making sure that we're emptying our lungs, preparing for all the new breath on our next inhale in through the nose, into the chest, to the shoulders, the side bodies, the belly, the low back. Pausing at the top of your inhale, taking a moment just to feel, and as you're ready, exhale, everything moves out. Continuing to sit with your breath here, watching as our life force moves in and out. And as we ground into our breath, we might take a moment to ask, what makes us feel most alive? What makes us awake to our life, to this moment, to ourself? Is it watching the breath? Is it feeling your presence? Is it a mantra? Is it a sound? Taking a few more moments here, ruminating on this idea of aliveness. One more breath. And on our next inhale, we'll begin to reach the hands up and overhead, palms turn in towards each other. And then as you're ready, exhale, begin to drop the palms down towards heart center. Taking our time here, pausing with the hands resting against our heart. And on your next inhale, we'll begin to extend the arms out to either side. Maybe this time lifting the gaze, lifting our chest as we reach through the fingertips. Exhale, palms come together to meet at heart center. Moving with our breath here, taking our entire inhale as we lift the arms up towards the sky. Last one, reaching through the fingertips. And as we exhale, beginning to float the hands down towards heart center. Taking a moment with our thumbs resting against our heart, noticing the beat of our life pulsing beneath our hands. Taking a moment to recognize our aliveness in this moment. And on your next inhale, we'll begin to reach the hands back up towards the sky. On the exhale, this time we're going to turn the palms away from each other and begin to float them back down next to the side body. Inhale, palms turn up towards the sky. We begin to lift the hands back up. Exhale, palms turn away. We begin to float them back down. Inhale, hands reach up. Exhale, they begin to reach down. We'll do a few more with our own breath here, taking our time and pausing at the bottom of each exhale and the top of each inhale. Two more. Last one. And as you exhale, hands come down next to the side body, letting the tops of the shoulders become heavy. Noticing here if we've begun to arc in that mid-thoracic spine, jetting the ribs forward. Seeing if we can begin to knit the ribs back in towards the spine, bringing our spine into a neutral shape. From here, we'll begin to lift through the crown of the head, lengthening from tail to crown. And then keeping this lift and engagement, we're going to bring our hands forward as we inhale. Palms are going to face up. As we exhale, top of the palms come to the tops of the shoulders. Inhale opens the shoulders out wide. Exhale extends the arms open. Inhale begins to draw them back forward. Exhale, tops of the hands come to the top of the shoulders. Inhale opens the elbows. Exhale, extends the arms. Inhale, forward. Exhale, tops of the shoulders. Inhale, open. Exhale, extend. Inhale, forward. Exhale, tops of the shoulders. Inhale, open the elbows. Exhale, extend. Inhale, move them forward. Exhale, hands to the tops of the shoulders. Inhale, open. Exhale, extend. Few more. Inhale, draws the arms forward. Exhale, palms to the tops of the shoulders. Inhale, extend the elbows. Exhale, extend the arms. Inhale, forward. Exhale, tops of the hands to tops of shoulders. Inhale, open. Exhale, extend. Last one. Inhale, draw the arms forward. Exhale, hands come to the tops of the shoulders. Inhale, open the elbows. Exhale, extend the arms. Take a deep breath in as we lift the hands up towards the sky. Exhale, hands come down to heart center. Pausing here, letting the shoulders and arms rest. Noticing the beat of your heart, the sound of your breath, the sound of your life right here, right now. When you're ready, we'll go ahead and bring the hands to the front of the knees. We're going to switch the cross of our feet. We're going to be here for about as much time as we've already been here. So making sure to keep balance here, stacking either the ankles in front or on top. Either way though, we're switching the legs. Hands are going to come to the tops of the knees or the thighs, whatever is more comfortable. And then when you're ready, we'll begin to inhale, lift the head, lift the chin, lift through the chest. Begin to rock forward on your sits bones. As you exhale, we'll begin to tuck the chin, draw the ribs back behind us, rock back on your sits bones. Inhale begins to draw the heart open, lengthening through the front body. Exhale begins to round and sink back towards our back body. Inhale, lengthening and opening through the front body. Exhale, beginning to round through the back body. Doing a few more here with your own breath. If you choose, maybe adding in a little bit of organic movement. There's no right or wrong way to move here. Couple more rounds of breath. If you've done circles, we might reverse it, remembering to keep that balance in our body. Not concerned with how we look as we move, letting go of any of that judgment or expectation, and just doing what feels right in your body. We're learning to cultivate that inner language, that understanding of what our body is saying. Last breath here. And as you exhale, we return to our neutral spine. Inhale, the hands reach up towards the sky. Exhale, the right hand comes down next to the right hip. Left hand begins to reach up and over the body. Palm of the left hand is facing down. Right elbow is bent. Right shoulder is dropping back and down. We're lengthening through the entire left side body, but we're rooting down through that left sits bone. Left elbow is soft, left fingers are active as we reach towards the right corner of our room. One more breath. And as you exhale, this left hand comes to the outside of the right leg as we begin to look over this right shoulder. Take a round of breath here. And on your next inhale, we'll move ourselves back to a neutral spine. Taking a moment here. And then when you're ready, inhale the hands, reach up towards the sky. Exhale, this time the left hand comes down next to the left hip. Right hand begins to reach up and over. We're softening through that left elbow, making sure that we're not resting the left ear or cheek on that left shoulder. Giving that left side of our neck some space to lengthen. Right side is extending over to the left. As we soften that left elbow, give this left arm a little bit of ease to it. Sorry, right arm. One more breath in. And as you're ready, exhale, we begin to let that right arm come down to the outside of the left knee or maybe down to the ground. Inhale, we lengthen the spine. Exhale, we begin to find our gaze over that left shoulder. Taking one more round of breath here. And on your next exhale, we'll let the spine come back to center. Taking a round of breath here. And then when you're ready, we'll begin to find our way onto our hands and knees. So we might bring something underneath our knees for a little bit of support if we're on a hard surface. Knees are going to come to stack underneath the hips. Wrists are coming to stack under the shoulders. Taking a moment here to find the eyes of the elbows. So these soft parts of the elbows are going to turn in towards each other, which means that our elbows are going to have a micro bend in them. This is going to make sure that, one, we're not locking the arms out and that we're using some of our biceps and triceps to keep this lift and engagement. From here, bring your awareness into your feet. Now, for some of us, it's going to feel more comfortable today to have the tops of the feet be the active participant. So we might begin to actively press through those tops of our feet. Others of us are going to prefer to tuck the toes, seeing if we can be active through the tucking of our toes. So either way, the feet are active. From here, we're going to just bring our awareness into the belly. So the spine is going to remain neutral. The belly is going to begin this movement. So as we inhale, we're going to let the belly expand towards the ground. Maybe there's a little bit of a drop in the lumbar spine as we inhale. As we exhale, the spine returns to neutral, and we begin to pull the abdominals, compress them back up towards the spine. Inhale, let the belly inflate, let the abdominals relax. Exhale, compresses the abdominals back up towards a neutral spine. Inhale, let the belly inflate. Exhale, let it compress in towards the spine. Doing a few more here. Inhale. Exhale. Last one. Inhale. Exhale. Now, keeping this compressive engagement in the core, we're going to continue our normal flow of breath and begin to draw that awareness up into our shoulders. So belly is strong, engaged, our awareness is in our shoulders. Now notice here if our shoulders are collapsing back in towards the spine, or rather our scapulas are moving back in towards the spine. See if we can bring a little bit of space between our scapulas and the spine. This is going to lift the chest and sternum slightly up. It's not a cow though, so we're not rounding through the spine. But we are having this lift and engagement through the scapulas. Once we found this nice engagement, both through the scapulas, the shoulders, and through the core, Crown of the head is going to reach forward. Tail is going to lengthen behind you. Now this is a strong table. Notice if you're starting to maybe tremble a little bit, or maybe you're just feeling a little bit of strength building. From here, we're going to switch our weight into this right hand. We're going to come on to the left fingertips. This might be as far as we go today, and that's fine. We're building strength in this right arm. For those of us that want to play around here, we're going to inhale, begin to lift and extend this left arm forward. We'll hold this for a round of breath. And then on your next inhale, we're going to let this left arm now extend out behind us. Palm is facing in towards that left hip. Take a round of breath here. This time, palm is going to face down. We're going to swing it out into a T. Take a round of breath here. When you're ready, left arm comes down back into our table. Big toes come together, knees go nice and wide. We sink the hips back into our child's pose. Palm of the hands turn up towards the sky as we bow the head down towards the mat. Taking a rest here, maybe rolling the wrists or just allowing them to soften and release. Maybe wiggling in the hips a little bit. And then when you're ready, we'll begin to make our way on an inhale back into our table. Big toes separate, knees are hip distance, wrists are stacked under the shoulders. Core is compressing up towards a neutral spine. Scapulas are moving away from the spine as we engage through the shoulders. Elbows are turned in and slightly bent. So we're nice and strong in our foundation. Beginning here to lengthen the tail behind you, draw the crown forward. And then we'll begin to shift our weight into this left hand. Now notice as you shift your weight, does the eye of the elbow want to turn forward? Does the weight want to drop in the outer wrist? See if we can keep the eye of the elbow facing inward, slight micro bend in the elbow, bringing some of that weight not only through the biceps and the triceps, but also through the entire hand. Once we have this, we're going to come onto the right fingertips. Notice if you've collapsed anywhere, see if we can bring some of that engagement back in. And then maybe we play with extending this right arm forward. Again, you're always welcome to come back to this fingertip shape or even back into a table. For those of us that want to play around here, we're going to extend that right arm forward, palm faces in. Take a round of breath here. When you're ready, we're going to begin to send that arm out behind us. Palm continues to face inward towards the right hip. Next, inhale, tease the arm open to our right. If you don't have the space, it might cactus open, but palm is going to face down towards the ground. One round of breath. And then we'll let the right hand come back down to the mat. Big toes come together, knees go nice and wide, hips sink back, palm of the hands flip up, forehead comes down to the mat, child's pose. One more breath. And then when you're ready, palm of the hands are going to face down towards the mat. We'll inhale, lift ourselves back into our table, separating the big toes. Decide what we want in our feet. Either way, they're active. And then when you're ready, we're going to walk the hands forward a couple steps. We're going to drop the elbows underneath the shoulders. Arms or forearms are parallel with each other, palms are facing down, elbows are stacked under the shoulders. Inhale. Actually, before we even begin to move, check in with your belly and your lumbar spine, that low back space. For a lot of us, it's going to be sinking down. Can we bring some of that engagement and compression back into the abdominals? Maybe flattening out that lumbar space a little bit. So keeping that core engagement. On your next inhale, press into the palms, lift the elbows off the mat. Exhale, lowers the elbows back down. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. We're doing 10. Inhale. Exhale, lower. Inhale, 9. Exhale, lower. Inhale, 8. Exhale, lower. Inhale, 7. Exhale, lower. Inhale, 6. Exhale, lower. Inhale, 5. Exhale, lower. Inhale, 4. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, 3. Exhale, lower, almost done. Inhale, 2. Exhale, lower, last one. Inhale, 1. We're gonna hold here. And then when you're ready, go ahead and begin to draw the hands underneath the shoulders, coming back into our table. Take whatever movement in the shoulders or body feels right for you here. Maybe that's a cat-cow or some weird organic movement, some wiggles. Maybe it's a simple child's pose. We'll take one more round of breath with whatever movement you chose. And then we'll end in our table. Right hand is gonna plant where it is. On your next inhale, we're gonna lift the left hand up towards the sky, pressing the hips over towards our left. As you're ready to exhale, we're gonna thread the left arm through the right arm, bringing the left temple down to the mat. From here, we can decide if we want the right hand to stay where it is, if we would like to extend it towards the top of our mat, if we would like to bring it to the low back. Either way is okay. There doesn't need to be any way in particular that we need to be, but we are listening to what the body wants here. So maybe we feel more supported with that right hand planted where it was. Breathing into that left shoulder, one more breath. And then we'll begin to press through the right palm. Inhale, lifts the left hand back up, presses the hips over towards our left. Let this left arm become heavy behind us. And then exhale, left arm comes down into our table. Planting the down or grounding down through this left hand, we're gonna inhale, lift the right hand up towards the sky, press the hips towards our right. Exhale, threads the right arm through the left arm and left thigh. Right temple comes down to the mat. Options here again to keep that left arm planted, to extend it out long to the top of the mat, or maybe to bring it to the low back space. Couple more rounds of breath here. Last breath. And then bringing the left arm back, planting and grounding down through that left palm. We'll inhale, lift the right hand back up towards the sky, press the hips towards our right. And exhale, the right hand comes down to the mat. From here, we'll walk our hands forward about a palm's length. We'll begin to shift our hips down and forward into a supported plank. So the core is nice and strong. The toes can be lifted, but if you feel more comfortable keeping them on the mat, that's also an option for you. From here, we'll take a deep breath in as we lengthen through the crown of the head. And as you're ready, exhale begins to lower down onto the belly. Now, a lot of us are going to have to reach back and pull out this bolster that we had underneath our knees. Some of us are just going to move it up towards the front hip points, down near our lower abdominals. This is going to help us from going into an anterior tilt, which is really compressive for the lumbar spine. So if you know that that's something that you have, go ahead and bring that here. Otherwise, we're just going to move that off to the side for now. So from here, bring your awareness down into your feet. We're going to draw the big toes together. Maybe the heels come together, maybe not, but this idea of engaging through the midline of our legs. So the calves are squeezing in, the inner knees are squeezing in, the inner thighs are squeezing in. Even the pelvis has this inward pull. So once we've found that, we're going to tuck the tail down towards the mat. This is going to engage the glutes, pressing through the tops of the thighs, lengthening out some of this lumbar spine. From here, hands come underneath the shoulders, elbows draw in towards the rib cage, inner arms draw in towards the side body. We're looking down at our mat, the crown of the head lengthens forward, and as you're ready, inhale lifts up into our cobra. Notice if some of that compression has come into the lumbar spine. See if we can begin to press down through the tops of the thighs and the front of the pelvis, the pubic bone. Breathing here. Scapulas draw in and down the spine. Sternum draws forward and up, back of the neck and front of the neck are lengthened. One more breath here. Exhale, stacks the hands, rest the forehead down on the back of them. Letting the entire body relax here. The inner thighs, the inner legs are released. The low back is in a neutral, restful space. Shoulders are soft. Take a couple rounds of breath here. Maybe coming back to this idea of presence. How do we stay awake in our life? Does it mean that maybe we stop ourselves from thinking about the past or from venturing too far in the future? Does it mean we really practice staying in the moment? Does it mean that we feel everything, all the sensations of our practice? What does staying awake in your life look like to you? When you feel ready, we'll begin to bring the hands slightly wider than shoulder width apart. We're going to come onto our fingertips. So we're going to spider the fingers here, creating almost like a little suction cup with our palms. And then when you're ready, begin to draw the inner legs together. Press down through the tops of the feet, the tops of the thighs, the top of the pubic bone. Inhale begins to lift the spine up. Now, even though we probably are going to feel like we want to put a lot of the weight into our fingertips, see if we can keep them soft and more of just like a balancing point than anything. So we should be able to theoretically lift our hands and keep the spine lifted here. One more breath. Exhale, lower down. Bring the elbows underneath the shoulders. Forearms are going to be parallel with each other. Palms are facing down. Feet are going to come to be hip distance apart now. So we're not engaging the inner leg, but we are pressing down through the tops of the legs and tops of the feet. Pressing down through the forearms, we're going to inhale, lift and lengthen through the sternum and through the crown of the head, coming into our full Sphinx pose. Slight tuck of the chin so that the back of our neck is nice and long. We're looking about 6 inches to a foot in front of our hands. We're breathing down towards our belly here. Listening to the sound of our breath, to the sound of the world around us, within us. Softening the tops of the shoulders, we draw the scapulas down and in. Take one more round of breath like this. And then when you're ready, we'll tuck the chin down towards the chest. From here, we'll begin to roll the right ear over towards the right. And exhale, we'll bring the chin back down to the chest. Inhale, we roll the left ear over towards the left. And exhale, we bring it back through to center. One more on each side. Inhale, right ear over towards the right. Make sure we're still active through the forearms. We're still pressing here. Exhale through to center. Last one. Inhale over towards the left. And exhale back to center. Inhale, lift the crown of the head back into our Sphinx pose, pressing down through the palms, through the fingers, maybe even lifting through the corners of our mouths. And when you're ready, we'll stack the hands and begin to rest the forehead down, letting the body fully rest here. Couple more rounds of breath. And then when you're ready, we'll cactus the arms out to either side, forehead rest down on either a little pillow or the floor or maybe a block if you can't reach the forehead down to the mat. From here, and a little bolster, by the way, works really well for this. If you don't have a little bolster, I would recommend maybe using a rolled up blanket before using a block. The block is a little too high for what we're doing right now, but if all you have is a block, that's okay. So bringing whatever prop that you want underneath your forehead. We're cactusing the arms open to either side. From here, with the forehead resting down on our prop, we're going to think about lifting the arms off the mat or off of the ground. From here, thinking about drawing the scapulas in and down so the elbows begin to draw in towards the rib cage. We'll hold this for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring the arms back into cactus. Hold here for 5, 4, 3,
2, 1. Let them rest down on the ground. Take a round of breath here. And then when you're ready, we're going to extend this left arm forward. Palm of the hand is going to face in towards our midline. So we're reaching the left arm straight towards the top of our mat, as if someone was pulling our fingertips away from the body. And then as you're ready, exhale, begins to cactus the arm, palm faces down, beginning to draw the elbow in towards the rib cage. Inhale, extends the arm back out long. Exhale, draws the elbow out into cactus, palm faces down, and then begins to draw the elbow in towards the side body. We'll do 2 more of these. Inhale, extends the arm forward. Exhale, draws it back. Last one, inhale, draws it forward. And exhale, draws it back. Let the left arm come down to the mat. Take a round of breath in this resting place. And on your next inhale, we'll extend the right arm forward, palm faces in. Exhale, begins to cactus the arm open, palm faces down, and then begins to draw the elbow in towards the side body. Inhale, extends this arm forward. Exhale, draws it in. Inhale, extends forward. Exhale, draws it in. 2 more. Inhale, extends forward. Exhale, draws it back and in. Last one. And exhale, pulls it back. And then let it come down into a cactus shape as we rest. From here, we're going to extend the arms back behind us. Pinkies are turned in, palms are face down. From here, we're also going to begin to bring our big toes back together. We're grounding through the tops of our legs, but we're also engaging through the midline. Tuck of the tail, engaging the glutes here, giving some space in that lumbar spine. On your next inhale, we'll lift the crown of the head, the chest, the shoulders. Hands are going to remain on the mat to start. When you feel ready, we're going to lift the hands, keeping the pinkies hugging towards the hips. Shoulder blades are drawing in towards the spine and down towards the low back. We'll hold this for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let everything rest down. We'll roll onto that right cheek, looking towards our left as we take a rest. One more breath. And then we'll bring our gaze back to center. We'll inhale, lift the crown, lift the shoulders, the chest. When you're ready, begin to lift the palms as the pinkies hug the thighs. Shoulder blades draw in and back. We'll hold this for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rest down on the left cheek this time, looking towards our right, taking a couple rounds of breath here. One more breath. And then in your own time, we'll begin to draw one hand forward and then the other, both coming underneath the shoulders. We'll tuck the toes. Inhale, lift the belly to the spine, compress the abdominals up as we press ourselves onto our knees. Big toes are gonna come together. Knees are gonna go wide. We might bring that blanket or that bolster between the glutes and the calves. And then when you're ready, we're gonna sink the hips back into our child's pose. Palm of the hands might begin to face up, or we might plant through the elbows, palm of the hands come into prayer as we bow the head down, resting it against the earth. Few more rounds of breath here. One more breath. And when you're ready, if you had your hands in prayer, we're going to lower the pinkies down to the mat. We'll all bring our palms down, face down to the mat. We'll inhale, look up towards our hands. Begin to walk our hands over towards the right side of our mat, stacking the left hand on top of the right. As you exhale, we'll begin to rest the left cheek down on the mat, looking towards our right. Left sits bone actively reaches back for left heel, so we have this nice long pull through the left side of our body. Taking a couple rounds of breath here. Last breath. Inhale, peeks the head up, begins to walk the hand back through to center and often over towards the left. We'll stack the right hand on top of the left, begin to press the heart back down, resting on our right cheek this time. One more breath. Inhale, presses into the hands, lifts the heart and the head, begins to walk the hands back through to center. This time we'll lift up into our table. We'll tuck the toes, for those of us that can. And then we'll begin to find our way up into a stand on our knees. Now, some of us, this is going to be uncomfortable, so we might take a bolster or a blanket and bring it underneath the knees or the shins. There's a couple different ways that we can do this posture. We're heading into camel. It's a very strong extensor, so we build the strength in our extensors and in our scapulas. But it's very opening for the front of the shoulders and the chest. So here's a couple things that we want to be mindful of. One, it's going to, if you tend to reach back and grab your heels, it's going to be easier if you keep your toes tucked. But if you don't keep your toes tucked, then we want to be active through the feet here, making sure that some of the weight is spreading through the entire front of that lower leg. So wherever you decide to be with your feet, we're gonna bring the front of our hands, the palms of our hands are gonna face forward. We're gonna drop them behind us and bring them to the lumbar spine. That downward curvature right above the glutes. Elbows are gonna draw together, but even more importantly, the scapulas are gonna draw back towards the spine and down towards the low back. This movement alone is going to force that lift of the sternum and the chest. So once we have that lift through the sternum and the chest, we're going to find a tuck of the tail forward. So we're engaging our glutes, we're pressing the front of our quads forward, and we're tucking the tail down and underneath us. On your next inhale, lift through the sternum. As you exhale, begin to drop back as we push the hips forward. Now, if you feel compression in the low back, we want to make sure, 1, are we tucking and engaging the glutes? 2, are we lifting up with our sternum? This is going to expand the space between each vertebrae. For those of us that want to begin to explore going deeper, we might reach back and grab one heel or block, and we might grab the other heel or block. If at any point you need to come out, we want to make sure that we bring one hand back up and then the other so that our low back is supported and we're not taking that strain. So maybe we play with moving in and out of it. Maybe we just head straight on through to our camel. If this is just not accessible on the knees at all, we can take a stand for this posture, bring our hands to the low back, bend the knees slightly as we begin to tuck the tail and press forward. So there's a couple different ways we can do this. We'll hold this for a few more rounds of breath. If you feel compressed in the cervical spine and the neck, slight tuck of the chin here lengthens the back of the neck. One more breath. One hand will come back up, then the other as we inhale, lift ourselves back up. We'll swivel the feet out from underneath us. We'll make our way onto our bottoms once again. If it's comfortable, you might come to seat on the ground or bring something underneath your sits bones if you need that little extra lift. Otherwise, we're going to bring our hands out to either side of our body. Fingertips are resting against the mat as we draw them away. We want this nice long pull through the front of the arm. Once you've found that, we're going to inhale, lift the chin and the gaze. Exhale, chin to chest. Take a round of breath in between the shoulders here. And then when you're ready, on your next exhale, we'll begin to roll the right ear over towards the right shoulder. Back of the left hand is going to begin to make its way towards the right side of our low back. From here, right shoulder and right ear are still moving towards each other. I'm going to re-say that. We don't want our right shoulder to move up. We actually want to keep it drawing down, but we do want this right ear moving towards our right shoulder. So keeping that there, we might invite a little movement of the head back and forth. So as we inhale, we might begin to tilt the chin up towards the sky. As we exhale, we might find a little bit of a tuck. It's a very small movement, or at least it doesn't have to be very big.
But we're just exploring this space, little micro movements of the head. Couple more rounds of breath. Pausing in stillness, one more breath. And then we'll release this left hand back down to the mat. We'll roll the chin through to center. And then off and over to the other side. Left ear reaches for left shoulder. Right fingertips begin to walk a little bit further away from the body. Focusing our breath into this right side. And then from here, we'll bring the back of our right hand to the left side of our low back. Letting this shoulder and this arm settle in here. And then when you feel settled, we might invite a little bit of a movement into the head. So again, thinking of this back and forth. Maybe drawing little circles with the nose. Staying present with what you are feeling here. Can we be so involved with each moment in our life that we are actually living it? Pausing in stillness here, we'll take one more round of breath. Letting the right arm come back out, we'll begin to roll the chin back through to center. We'll interlace the hands, bring them behind the head, let the elbows drop down. As we round through the back body, letting the chin tuck. Take a couple rounds of breath here. Inhale, opens the elbows to either side as we lift and open through the chest, through the neck. Exhale, back to our neutral seat. Hands come down to the tops of the thighs. From here, we'll bring our right hand over the heart space. We'll anchor into that sternum. Left hand can stack on top of the right. We want to draw the skin of our sternum and chest down towards the ground. So you should start to feel a little bit of a pull through the lower bottom half of our neck. From here, we're going to lift the chin and the gaze up towards the sky. When you find that extension of the neck, we're going to press the chin even further up as if we had an underbite. Taking a few rounds of breath here. Last one. And we'll inhale back to a neutral space. Bringing the soles of the feet together, knees are going to stay nice and wide. Inhale, we find our sits bones, so maybe we walk them out behind us as we lengthen the crown up. So we have a nice long spine here. As you're ready, exhale begins to move our heart towards our toes. Meeting that stopping point in the hips, we begin to bow the head to that space. Letting the shoulders drape down, letting the low back release,
Breathing the full body breath here. So being mindful of our breath. Are we breathing just as deeply into our sides as we are into our chest? Are we breathing into our bellies and our low back? Letting the chin tuck, letting the back of the neck soften down, crown of the head shines towards our toes. A couple more rounds of breath here. Last round of breath. When you're ready, ground through the palms. Inhale begins to lift the spine back up, one vertebrae at a time, taking your time until we reach a nice neutral spine here, softening the shoulders, taking a round of breath. And then we'll begin to draw this right heel further in towards the pelvis. Right knee is going to point slightly out to the right. Left foot is going to come to the outside of that right thigh. So we're coming into a seated spinal twist. If this right here is not accessible, doesn't matter why, but if it's not, what we can do to make this a little easier or more accessible is to extend the right leg forward and long and to just simply cross the left leg over like this. If even this is not accessible in the body today, we can bring this left foot on the inside of that extended right leg and work from here. So 3 different options for us. Find what works right in your body. Once we're there, we're going to hook the right arm around the left thigh. Inhale, lengthens up through the crown of the head. As we lengthen, we let this left sits bone drop back down towards the earth. Once we've found this, we're going to take another breath in, and as you exhale, we'll begin to open to our left, maybe looking over our left shoulder. Now, the other day in my class, I mentioned this wonderful new little thing that I learned, and it's that most of our supporting muscles, our postural muscles in our spine specifically, are directed or will move with our gaze. So we have these wonderful little Christmas tree muscles along our spine that help us rotate here. So as we do this, can we look to the furthest corner, left corner of our eyes, and does that change maybe even a little bit of what we're able to find here, what space we're able to create? One more breath. Exhale, unravels the twist nice and slow. Left arm comes in front of that left leg. Right arm comes behind us. We do a little counter twist here, looking over our right shoulder and to the furthest right corner of our eyes. One more breath. Exhale, back to center. We'll uncross this top leg. If you have the right leg extended, we'll go ahead and draw it in, and we'll switch sides. So left heel is going to come in. If you extended the right leg, you're going to extend the left leg. For those of us, all of us actually, are going to take this right leg and cross it over the left, whether extended or hooked. If it is extended and crossing it over is just not a thing today, you're welcome to keep it on the inside of that leg. It also works when we're seated like this too, with the leg hooked. So if you want to try it on the inside, you're welcome to that as well. So wherever you decide to be, we're going to hook this left arm around the right thigh. We're going to find length through the crown of the head and grounding through this right sits bone. When we've found this, we're going to take another deep breath in, lift up one more time, and as you exhale, we're going to begin to turn open towards our right. Again, looking over our right shoulder and then to the furthest right corner of our eyes. Full body spiral here. Even allowing the breath to spiral down our spine. One more breath in. Exhale, unravels us from our twist. We'll bring the right arm on the inside of the right leg. Left arm comes behind us as we look over our left shoulder. Taking a couple rounds of breath here. On your next exhale, coming back to center, we'll uncross the legs, we'll come into a seat. Bring the hands to the tops of the thighs. Palms are going to turn up towards the sky. As you're ready, we'll soften or close the eyes. We'll take a deep breath in through the nose and we'll tense the body here, making fists with our hands, letting the body vibrate. Double exhale out through the mouth as the body softens. Inhale in through the nose, let the body vibrate, let it pulse here. With energy, with life, double exhale, let it soften. Last one, inhale in. Audible double exhale. Let it all go. Taking a couple rounds of breath here. Noticing the life and energy in your body, in your being. What does being awake and alive feel like to you? When you're ready, taking any other posture or movement your body is calling for. Otherwise, beginning to make your way into our final resting shape, Shavasana. And that can be exactly where you are right now in our meditation seat. Or it can be in another shape more suited for you today. Taking our time, moving kindly here. And as we begin to settle into our final shape, we allow each part of our body to become heavy towards the earth, softening the ankles, the knees, the hips, letting the spine rest, letting the shoulders open and soften. Any tension in the jaw, the forehead, beginning to let it go. Softening or closing the eyes. Letting go of our breath. Letting go of our mind. And settling into our being, our loving awareness, our stillness, Shavasana.
When asked whether he was a god or a man, Buddha replied simply, "I am awake." I spend a good portion of my days worried about some outcome. How will that turn out? What if I don't measure up? This often leads to some form of anger. Why can't that person just drive? Miriam, where did you put the phone? Why can't you put the phone back where it belongs? The anger often leads to depression. I'm just going to spend the rest of my life being an asshole. Then I see my dog lying on our couch. She looks up at me and smiles and wags her tail. I hug her, smelling her warm fur, feeling how good it is to love something, to give love and to receive love. I experience reality. I am awake. Bringing awareness and aliveness back to the body with a deep breath in through the nose and a long, audible sigh. Letting it all go. Making movements where you feel called to make them here today. Taking our time, moving with love, with compassion and kindness. An option to close class where you are, or when you're ready, beginning to find your way into our comfortable seat. Bringing our hands to heart center, resting our thumbs against the beat of our life, feeling that aliveness pulsing through our body with every breath, with every beat. Bowing our heads in gratitude for this life, for ourselves, and for each other. Taking a moment to bring the thumbs up to the third eye center. Resting the thumbs there, we remind ourselves that we are awake, alive, right here and now. Thank you for sharing your love and your light with me today. Namaste.